In this lecture, we're going to cover our textbook chapter R.5, Multiplication with Whole Numbers, and we'll also discuss area. So what is multiplication? Well, multiplication is the shorthand of addition. What I mean by that is 4 plus 4 plus 4 we can write as 3 times 4 because there are 3 of the 4s, and that equals 12. So either we can do the addition, 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 4 is 12, or we could write it as 3 times 4, which means, hey, we're going to do 3 4s, and that equals 12. So multiplication can be written several different ways, and this can be a little confusing. So let's take a look at them. One is vertical, so 4 times 3, and the x means times. 4x3, which again is times. 4 asterisk 3, 4 dot 3, 4 in parentheses and 3 in parentheses, and then the other way around where one is in parentheses and the other is not. And this last one should actually be 4 times 3. So any of those will constitute as being multiplication. So 4x means 4 times x. And this x right here is a variable versus this x means the operation of multiplication. So I prefer this dot notation, so you'll see me use a lot of dot or either parentheses. So AB means A times B. So let's get some vocabulary down. Product. That means we're indicating multiplication, and factors is what we multiply to get a product. That's a lot of words, but what does it mean? So let me give you an example. 3 times 4 equals 12. 3 and 4 are factors. The product is the 3 times 4 and 12. So if I wrote it out long way, factors are 3 and 4, and the product is 3 times 4 and 12. That's what I mean by factors and product. So I just wanted to show you different ways of writing it out. And I'm not going to go through all of these. I think you guys can pause the video and check it out yourself. But the product of 2 and 5 means 2 times 5. And something like the product of x and y means xy. There's an implied multiplication in between variables. So we don't have to do any dot, any x, anything like that. And then the product of 2 and 8 is 16. Is meaning equal. So 2 times 8 equals 16. So let's take a problem. Identify the factors and the products of 9 times 8 equals 72. Now go ahead and pause the video and work it out yourself, and then go ahead and start the video and see if you're right. So the factors are the digits 9 and 8. The products is 9 times 8 as well as 72. Now try a couple more on your own, and then follow the same process of figuring out what your factors are and figuring out what your products are. But try these, see if you can do them. Alrighty, let's start digging in deep into multiplication. We have a distributive property that we're going to be working with a lot. So what does that mean? It means that multiplication can be distributed over addition. Sounded like I just repeated myself. So let's see it. Let's take the same problem but do it 2 different ways. The first is 3 times the quantity 4 plus 5. We can also write it as 3 times 4 plus 3 times 5. But can we really do that? Will it come out to the same equation or the same result? So let's take a look. 3 times the quantity 4 plus 5, we do what's in the parentheses first, which is 3 times 9, and then 3 times 9 is 27. So let's go back over to problem 2 and see if we get the same thing. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 3 times 5 is 15. So 12 plus 15, and 12 plus 15 is 27. We do get the same. And it doesn't matter what numbers we will use, it will always be the same. That is the distributive property. So sometimes it's easier to see it visually. So let me break it down visually for us. We're going to take this problem of 4 times the quantity 4 plus 5. That's what this first set of boxes represent. So here's a set of 4 boxes and set of 5 boxes, so a total of 9 boxes, and we have 3 times of those. So I'm going to do 3 rows of it. The 3 times 4 plus 3 times 5 is represented as 3 rows of 4 plus 3 rows of 5. Now you can definitely see if we just smush these two together, we're going to get right back where we started with on the left-hand side. Formally, the distributive property is if A and B and C represent 3 whole numbers, then A times the quantity B plus C equals AB plus AC. And remember, when we have letters next to each other, it means multiplication in between. So now let's start multiplication with whole numbers. So working with numbers, it's fairly simple when it's just a single digit like 9 times 4 or 3 times 5. But when we start getting into double digits or triple digits, it gets a little bit more complex. So 7 times 65, we can break it apart using our distributive property as 7 times 60 plus 5. And 7 times 60 plus 7 times 5 is a little bit easier because really this is 7 times 6, which is 42, and tack on a 0, that good old trick. And 7 times 5 is 35, so 420 plus 35 is 45. This process might work, but it could get very clunky if the numbers were much larger. So we have another way of looking at it. 60 plus 5 times 7, and we're just going to do this 7 times 5, which is 35, that's 7 times 5, and then the 7 times 60 is 420, and we're going to add it together, and we get 455. It's the same thing, but again, it's slightly clunky. Why do I always have to break apart my numbers? There's got to be a better process, and there is. So I'm going to run through this problem. You may need to watch it a few times, but let's try vertical multiplication. So instead of writing it as 60 plus 5, we're going to keep all the digits together. And I'm going to try to do it vertical multiplication. So 7 times 5 is 35. We're going to write the 5, carry the 3, and then 7 times 6 is 42 plus 3 is 45, and it does work. So let's look at exactly what steps we're doing. The first step is we take the 7 and multiply it by the ones digit in the 65, which is the 5. That equals 65. We write the 5 in the ones place in our answer, and we carry the 3 to the tens column above the 6. Step 2 is to multiply the 7 and the 6. We get 42, but we have this 3 up here, and we need to add it to the 42 to get to 45. And then we write the 45 next to the 5, and we're done. So let's try another problem and follow the same steps. So 9 times 3 is 27. We write the 7, and we carry the 2 over the 4. Move it up a little bit. And then 9 times 4 is 36, plus 2 is 38. Actually have an error there. Easily fixed. Okay? And I said add the 3, but it's add the 2, and it's a 38. I even make mistakes. Okay? So, let me do a larger problem. So 52 plus 37. So I'm going to do this step at a time.